teachers, as we begin to consider where we begin with children in the world of sound, it's obviously with the listening for the sounds in our language and eventually being able to take them to a letter of the alphabet. So let's start again where we would begin with children, and that is in the world of sound. So if we think about, rather than introducing the letter A and then talking about that it has a sound, I suggest that we're going to be following that research by Louisa Moats that simply says we have a phonological processor here that processes sound, and we want to basically create ways in children that we tune that phonological processor to listen for those individual sounds in the words. Now, before they can do that, they have to know. They have to have direct teaching, explicit teaching on what these sounds are. So let's begin with consonant sounds versus vowel sounds. When we think about the consonant sound B, now we would say that's spelled with the letter B, but let's consider the sound B first of all. That's the sound that we hear at the very beginning of the word bat. And so in many models, there are no gestures for young children that help connect them to the particular sounds of the language. So in other words, when they're not sure exactly what they're hearing, if we simply give them a gesture like B for the letter, or for the sound for the letter B, which would be the B sound, that helps create that memory trace to the sound in the language that they're going to be hearing in words. So as you think about the B sound, I want you to think about the letter bat, or the word bat, and what you hear at the beginning of the word. So B would be this, B, just like if you were swinging a bat. So this is B. Now, I want to show you as we go the card that's going to connect with that. So when your children are ready for the letter B to spell the B sound, this is simply going to create that connection for them. So now, again, we have the B sound. We would say B, and we would say the letter B spells that sound. So think about that for that particular sound. So now the letter, if we go on in the or if we just take the sounds of the alphabet, it would be, again, we're thinking about the letter C, but rather than talking about the letter C first, I would like to contend that we would want to think about the sound K, K. And when you make that sound, there's a sound actually in nature that if you think about scraping the ice or the frost off of a windshield on a cold morning, you would think about it sounding like this, K, K. And it simply creates that connection to something that the children do. And without this, because you don't always have to have this particular tool handy, you can simply say, K. I like to occasionally, with an idea such as using a tool like this on a windshield, I like for them, first of all, to see the tool. Now, once the tool goes away and you no longer have that anymore, or it's not simply at your fingertips, the child, when you do this, K, already has created the memory trace to your hand holding this particular tool and thinking about the sound K. So I never have to worry if I want to eventually let these go, take them away, they're no longer available. When I say K, the memory trace again has been created. So again, this is B, this is K. Now let's think about the D sound. I like to think about the action dig. So I create a little memory trace with a shovel that I can easily have on hand, and I can simply say D, because that's the beginning of the word dig. So we're going to take just this little shovel and say D. Without that, once I've created the memory trace, I can simply say D for that particular sound. And forgot to show you. Here's the card for K, simply showing the man with his tool, of course, and taking care of that frosty windshield and connecting that to the letter C. This is the D. D. When you're ready, we connect that sound D to the letter D. I like to think about this for, you may want to create a little memory trace with one of these pretty little fans, all right? Top teeth on bottom lip, simply that. And without this, you can easily do this. This has created the memory trace. That isn't available, or you don't have one available, you simply do this for the sound. And now you're making the connection when the child is ready to the letter F. All right, now I'm going to speed this up just a little bit and just do the remainder of the gestures. So we're up now to the G sound. So I like to think simply of good for good job. So this is G. And just so you know, a few of the letters that do have a different font that children often see in books, I've created one card if you wish to just show that one. If you wish to show both ways that children might be encountering that letter, you can. This is simply this hound is all right. The J is for juggle, J. As you think about of course, just going back to the grapheme, the letter K, of course, it has the same sound, the K sound. So I just created a card there that has the letter K. But of course, you're going to recognize again the man with the tool that takes care of the ice on the windshield. All right, now let's go ahead and speed this up just a little bit. We're ready for the ol sound. So again, I do like to create a memory trace to the lollipop and the lick, the lollipop, the ol. So once this, of course, goes away, you can just say ol for that particular sound. And I won't continue on with the cards because again, you can see all of those once you get this set. So now we're up to so you're just thinking about that. Oh, if I smelled a warm chocolate chip cookie, I know something I would say would be All right, the sound n, we think about the word no. And so I simply say and shake my head no. P would be next. And we think about that push, so we say P. The letter Q, of course, makes the K sound. So again, you'll find that in the cards, and that typically is a concept. We call that an advanced consonant, and so just teach that when you are ready to do that. R, we think about a little bit about that, like that angry dog, and he would say rrr, and so that's that sound again for the letter R. S would be for snake, right? And we simply say s for that sound. The t sound, I do like to do some crossing over of the midline whenever it's possible. So I think about that tap, all right? So we just say this is t. I do like to create a memory trace with a van, because if you think about it, especially little boys with their vehicle sounds, what will they do if they take this, something like this? They'll say, right? So it's really nice to make that connection with this van. Once it goes away, you simply can say, I usually still pretend I'm holding it. So I hold my hand something like this and I say, for that particular sound. The W sound, or the sound for the letter W, I should say, is the W sound. And now, teachers, I will admit that's a little bit tricky when you're thinking about, well, what picture, what really resembles that. And just basically when you make the sound W, it's just a little breathy sound made with your lips in a circle. So I simply say, and it's like this, W, W. And so that students kind of feel a little bit of breath on their hands. Again, that was a difficult one. The X, of course, is two sounds, the X sound. So we simply cross over like it was like two swords, and we say X. And the sound for the Y, we spell with the letter Y at the beginning of words. In other words, when it functions as a consonant, I always think of the word yes. And typically when we say something like yes, we're overjoyed and we just say yes. And so this becomes the Y sound. The Z sound, I like to think about a zipper. Whether or not you mount one of these on a card is really probably not really necessary, but I simply think about if I were zipping up a jacket, I would simply do this, zzz, and it even kind of makes that noise. So it's kind of nice if you can get something like this, or if nothing else, it doesn't have to be mounted on a card, just use a zipper once or twice on your jacket and simply let them hear that sound, because again, it's kind of an environmental sound, that zzz sound. Okay, that takes care of the consonants. Let's quickly think about the 5 short vowels, vowel sounds of the language, because that's where we begin with our young children. And when you think about the A sound, we often think about the word apple. And I like, most of the words that I have chosen are 2-syllable words, because if you think about the word apple, it's in 2 parts. A-pull, all right? And when you take the pull away, what do you have left? You just have A. So if you say this is A for the apple, pull, but because you've taken the pull away, what do you have left when you do this is ah. Now again, we're creating that memory trace for a young child by holding an apple in our hand when we do that the first time or two. But if an apple is no longer available and you did this, the student has already created in their mind that picture of the apple sitting in the hand. So when they see this, or you do this, they will simply say ah. And again, when you're ready to connect that to the letter of the alphabet that spells that, you have a card then that will help them with this sound. Ah is spelled with the letter A. And this is another one that I have created, both fonts for the letter A. So let's think about the sound eh, and we think about the word echo, echo being in two parts, co. And of course, if we throw the co away, what are we left with? Eh. So we say this is eh. So now we have right, with a particular card. I like to use the word itch, simply because it allows the student to hear the I in its pure form. In other words, it's not followed by like a nasal sound. So if you stretched out itch, all right, itch, and you got rid of the ch part, what are you left with? Just the I. And so we simply say, here's another cross over the midline. This is I. So now we have I. I love to use the word opera. Number one, a lot of children don't know a lot about it. I like to give a little bit of background knowledge on opera. So if you did that, you would often find that the opera singer at the very end is going, ah, right? And so with this, we think about that sound. This is ah, and when they're ready to spell that sound, we have the letter O. And up, very easy word. Or excuse me, the sound, we have used the easy word up, and up is in two parts again, p. When we get rid of the p, what are we left with? Just the sound, and we point up for So let's do a quick recap on those vowels, because they're the tricky ones, all right? We have I. Connect those to the letters of the alphabet. We have students who are hearing these sounds in their pure form. When they're ready, connect them to the letters of the alphabet. So if you have a model that does not include gestures, this is one that can be used with any particular model. And I think you will find them very helpful with your students.
For more information or additional support, whether it be on-site, online, or by phone, please feel free to contact me.